doctors. We're changing every body, one body at a time.
We're back, and we're taking on your most annoying A words, and right now we have a question straight from the red carpet.
Hey, doctors. I have a question for you. It's Nicole Sullivan, and I'm Bleep My Dad Says. And my son has asthma. What are the chances that he will outgrow that asthma? He's 3.
That was actress Nicole Sullivan from the new show Beep My Dad Says, and we wanted to answer her question in person, so we invited Nicole to be here with us today. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
I have a question. What does the bleep stand for?
What does the bleep stand for?
Yeah.
If I said it, you'd have to bleep me,
Okay,
and then
so
it would be a whole cycle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if it were a cable show, we could say it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, fair enough.
So your son has asthma.
Yeah.
And he's, how old?
3.
3. Okay, and you want to know what are the chances of him growing out of it?
Yeah.
Well, about 50% of kids will outgrow asthma by the time they're 6 years old. Now, what are, Dash is your son's name?
Yeah.
What are his triggers that you've noticed?
Well, when we didn't know what it was. He just had coughing. Like that. We never heard the wheezing. We just heard coughing.
Okay.
And I just kept thinking, oh, he has a cold, he's a cold. And then I realized there was really no runny nose. So I brought him in, and they 1 second later, they were like, hey,
Oh,
asthma.
he's got asthma.
And we were floored.
That's really important because about 10% of people with asthma, they don't wheeze, they just cough.
Yeah.
We call that cough variant asthma. So that's kind of a hidden or a mystery form of asthma that often goes undiagnosed. So it's good that you found that. Now, what tends to trigger his cough?
If he has any kind of little cold at all, we got to get on it. And he's allergic to dogs, so if he's around the dogs too much, and if he's in his sort of phase of asthma-y symptoms, if he runs around, it just triggers it.
Okay, so I got some good news and a little bad news.
Okay.
The good news is as he gets older, he's going to get less and less colds.
Okay.
So the cold-triggered asthma, that will decrease. So he's going to get asthma symptoms less and less. Now the ones triggered by allergies are probably going to persist, so it's going to be really important to work with your pediatrician and an allergist at getting his symptoms controlled.
Right.
With medications and allergy avoidance, things like that.
Okay.
And Nicole, I'm going to walk you through the process of asthma. I had cough variant asthma growing up. My mom thought I was crazy because I just kept coughing and coughing, and then finally went to the doctor and, oh my gosh, you're wheezing. So as a child grows, they may, as Dr. Shear said, may or may not grow out of asthma. Asthma and allergies are intricately connected. And you mentioned that, so pollen. How about what's coming up next? Pet dander is so very common as far as an asthma trigger. This is a person who's got that cold, and when you have a cold, you get postnasal drip. What that does is that drip gets down into your airways and irritates them, so you develop this reactive airway disease Dr. Shears was talking about. Exercise-induced asthma, cigarette smokes. This is why you should never smoke around your kids. It can trigger an asthma attack. This is where I love to be, the mountains. Dr. Shears, you know this. Unfortunately for me, when I exercise in cold air, I actually will develop asthmatic symptoms. So a lot of people in cold, dry air, they'll have an asthma attack or exacerbation of their symptoms. And then mold, we all know mold can cause respiratory issues. So all those things can trigger an episode. So let's just say you're breathing, you have asthma, you're doing okay, but you're starting to breathe with a little bit more difficulty. What's going on in the airways? I want to take everyone inside of what we call the bronchioles. Now, the bronchioles are those small airways that carry air down to the depths of your lung. In an asthmatic attack, you develop all sorts of mucus. And not only does the mucus develop, but the airways start to constrict. That's why the symptoms that you're having, doc, I can't breathe and I'm actually feeling chest tightness. Literally, those bronchioles are becoming tighter. You're feeling it. You can't move the air. Children in particular will give this sign, and you'll start to hear that audible wheeze.
If you ever want to know what that feels like, take a drinking straw and just try to breathe through it for a few minutes. That you'll know what it's like to have asthma.
And it's unpleasant, and what continues to happen if you don't treat an asthma attack, a severe one, this is when people come to the ER, the airways continue to get tighter and tighter. As they get tighter and tighter, air movement through here is like breathing through a straw. And at that point in time, things are getting scary, they're getting dangerous. Rescue inhalers, usually albuterol is what we use as first-line treatment, not only in the ER, but at home. It's called a rescue inhaler because what happens is as that albuterol or other similar medication gets into the lungs, it acts on those bronchioles to open them up temporarily. That is why it's called a rescue device. Having said that, as those airways open up, you'll see some relief in the symptoms. But here's a really important takeaway for you, for Dash, and for everyone at home who has asthma. You can't let asthma control your child's life. You have to control the asthma. So there are long-term medications, steroid inhalers that can control symptoms over the long term. The whole key to treating asthma, as Dr. Shears alluded to, is to prevent that massive inflammatory response that occurs in response to either allergen, cold air, exercise, whatever it may be.
And as he gets older, he'll be able to get allergy tested.
Right.
So, and then get probably allergy treatments against the peanuts or whatever else, dogs or whatever, so that his symptoms will go down. And
I carry an albuterol inhaler with me for when my symptoms are exacerbated. So I have a very mild case. And hopefully with Dash, that'll be something he grows out of entirely. Nicole, thank you, and best of luck to Dash and with the show. And be sure to watch Nicole on Bleep, my dad says, Thursday nights on CBS. Coming